Isn't that Elaine?
Maybe she'd give me another picture of man hands. Elaine!
Elaine!
Lady!
Hey, Elaine!
Elaine! Hi!
Jerry, George, Kramer. This is Kevin, Jean, and Feldman.
You've binged every episode, quoted the Soup Nazi, and probably debated the finale more than once. But even after decades, Seinfeld, the show about nothing, still has secrets hiding in plain sight. Some are funny, some are absurd, and a few might actually make you uncomfortable. From Jerry's apartment hiding behind a West Coast facade to actors who terrified the cast off screen, these 10 weird facts prove that the genius of Seinfeld extends far beyond what you see on screen. By the end, you'll notice things you never did, question what else went on behind the scenes, and maybe even see your favorite episodes in a whole new light. Let's dive in.
Hey! I just saw Joe DiMaggio in Dinky Donuts. Hey. Are you going to the hospital now? Hey, I'm sorry, I can't watch the dog tonight.
Fact 1. Kramer's 100th entrance was a silent celebration. Kramer's entrances weren't just walk-ins, they were events. That slide through Jerry's door, the burst of energy, sometimes delivering a bizarre line, sometimes just showing up, became iconic. But one milestone almost went unnoticed: Kramer's 100th entrance. It happened in Season 7's The Virgin, when Michael Richards slid into the apartment declaring, "I'm out of the contest," in classic Kramer style. The writers kept a running tally on a dry erase board in the writers' room. When they hit 100, there was a quiet, conspiratorial celebration, high fives, knowing glances, and then they erased the board. Why the secrecy? They knew Richards. If he found out, he might have milked the moment even more than usual. The subtlety made the celebration inside joke gold for the creative team. If you watch that episode carefully, you might notice the camera lingering on Jerry's reaction just a beat longer than usual. It's tiny, almost imperceptible, but it's a nod to the milestone, appreciated only by the writers and eagle-eyed fans. It's these little layers of detail, mixing meticulous writing with spontaneous physical comedy, that makes Seinfeld endlessly rewatchable. Kramer's entrances weren't just funny, they were carefully constructed chaos, and that 100th one was a quiet tribute to the actor and the team who created the magic behind the door.
Which one's supposed to be the funny guy?
Oh, he's the comedian.
I'm just a regular person.
No, he's just being modest.
We had a funny guy with us in Korea. Tail gunner. They blew his brains out all over the Pacific. There's nothing funny about that.
Fact 2. Elaine's dad was a real-life knife guy. Alton Beans, Elaine's father, appeared only once in Season 2's The Jacket. But what an impression he made. Played by Lawrence Tierney, he was intense, intimidating, and reportedly carried a real butcher knife in his bathrobe pocket between takes. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was famously nervous when he casually twirled it, even jokingly offering to show her a neat trick. It sounds like a story straight out of Seinfeld itself. Tierney's reputation for tough guy roles added extra weight. Larry David later said they didn't bring him back because we were scared he might actually murder us. The character itself was inspired by Richard Yates, the father of David's ex-girlfriend, giving him a natural gravitas. Tierney amplified that, creating a palpable tension on set. Watching the episode now, you can see subtle reactions. Jason Alexander's George shifts slightly when Tierney moves. Every glance, every movement adds to the discomfort. Alton Benz was a one-off character, but his single appearance remains unforgettable, not just for the on-screen intensity, but for the behind-the-scenes chaos that makes the story almost as memorable as the show itself.
Elaine? Elaine?
Jerry! Oh, hi! Welcome back. How were the shows?
Great, I had fun. Where's the TV? Where's the VCR?
Fact 3. Jerry's building lives next to a Taco Bell. Here's a fact that might just shatter your perception of the Seinfeld universe. That iconic exterior shot of Jerry's apartment building, the one that screams classic New York City apartment block. Yeah, it's not in New York. Every exterior was filmed at 757 South New Hampshire Avenue in Los Angeles. The illusion of New York was key to Seinfeld's identity, so the location scouts picked an Art Deco building that looked East Coast enough, even if it wasn't. To sell the illusion, they filmed during magic hour, the golden period just after sunrise or before sunset. It hid telltale California features like palm trees and gave the streets that bustling urban look. If you stand there today, hoping to see New York charm, you'll find a neon Taco Bell instead. It's the perfect accidental twist for a show about nothing. The detail highlights how television magic works, creating believable worlds even if the foundations are a little off. The building's placement, the lighting choices, the clever framing, it all adds up to an immersive New York experience. Even a mundane West Coast street became the home of one of the most iconic sitcom universes ever. It's a small reminder that every detail in Seinfeld, even a background building, was carefully crafted to support the comedy and character-driven storytelling fans still love. Fact 4. Newman's first name is a blooper that lived. Newman, the sneaky, scheming neighbor, is officially just Newman. But fans long insisted his name was Norman, a rumor born from a blooper during the season 4 finale, the pilot. The actress playing Mrs. Phil accidentally said Norman instead of Newman. The producers kept the mistake because it made sense. A forgettable neighbor misremembering the name fits perfectly. It added a tiny layer of realism and humor. Wayne Knight, who plays Newman, has embraced it, joking that being mononymous is a badge of honor. Madonna and I are tight. This accidental blooper became part of Seinfeld lore, showing how the show thrived on human error, subtle humor, and the unexpected. Newman remains mysterious, a character whose small quirks make him endlessly memorable, proving that sometimes mistakes make the magic even stronger.
Seinfeld.
It's guaranteed. You can't top it. You can't even get close to it.
It's iconic. Like all this.
Thank you.
Everything was lined up. Everything was perfect.
Yes.
The casting was right.
I'm not arrogant and stupid enough to think I did that.
Fact 5. Jerry walked away from $110 million. Imagine being offered a staggering sum of money, a truly life-changing amount, to continue doing something you're incredibly good at. Most people would jump at the chance, right? Well, not Jerry Seinfeld. At the peak of its popularity, as Seinfeld was wrapping up its 9th season, NBC was desperate for a 10th. They understood the cultural phenomenon they had on their hands, and they wanted to keep it going. So, they put together an offer that was, by all accounts, unprecedented. An estimated $110 million just for Jerry Seinfeld himself to produce one more season. That's not for the whole cast, not for the production budget, but for Jerry alone. It was an offer that made headlines, a testament to the show's immense value and Jerry's star power. But Jerry said, "I don't have another story," and walked away. Instead, he returned to small comedy clubs, wanting to remember what bombing felt like. It was a bold move, prioritizing art over money, quality over quantity. Walking away preserved the show's legacy. Today, Seinfeld is a perfect 9-season masterpiece, untouched by weak later seasons. Jerry's $110 million no is a legendary example of knowing when to quit, leaving on top, and staying true to the craft. Fact 6. The finale was shot like a CIA black site. When a show becomes as iconic as Seinfeld, ending it isn't just filming an episode, it's an operation. The series finale was such a huge deal that the production treated it like a secret mission. Every plot twist, joke, and character beat had to remain under wraps, so they went full-on paranoid. The set was closed, no studio audience, no paparazzi, nothing. Crew members got coded badges to restrict access, and decoy scripts with fake plot lines were left lying around just in case someone tried to sneak a peek. The real script? Delivered on red paper that couldn't be photocopied. Even Jerry, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jason Alexander, and Michael Richards didn't see the full episode until it aired. They were as in the dark as the rest of us, watching the culmination of 9 years unfold on live TV. The secrecy worked. When the gang ended up in a Massachusetts jail for violating a Good Samaritan law, viewers were genuinely shocked. Sure, the finale was divisive, but no one could argue it wasn't a surprise. The care taken to keep the ending secret shows how much the cast and crew respected the story, the characters, and the audience. Every joke landed exactly as intended, and every emotional beat hit with maximum impact. It was a carefully orchestrated, brilliantly executed curtain call for a show that was always about observing life's small absurdities in the funniest, most detailed way possible.
This guy makes the best soup in the city, Jerry. The best. You know what they call him? Soup Nazi.
All right, I'm not letting you cut in line.
Why not?
Because if he catches us, we'll never be able to get soup again.
Bread. You want bread?
Yes, please.
$3! What? No soup for you!
Fact 7. No soup for you was a happy accident. The Soup Nazi. That line, no soup for you, is iconic. But here's the funny part. It wasn't scripted that way. Larry Thomas, who played the Soup Nazi, started the scene almost gently, like a soft-spoken librarian. Can you imagine that? Totally wrong for the character. During the first camera run, Thomas decided to crank up the intensity just to entertain the extras. He snapped the line with authority, like a drill sergeant, and everyone on set loved it. The writers noticed immediately and rewrote the scene overnight, turning it into the rapid-fire, no-nonsense, hilariously tyrannical character we remember today. That improvisation earned Thomas a SAG award, but it also cemented him in TV history and typecast him forever. Interestingly, the Soup Nazi was inspired by a real New York vendor, Al Yeganay. And the irony? Yeganay hated the parody. He once gave Thomas free soup and then banned him forever. So the line that became legendary, started as a joke to amuse extras, became a permanent script change, and ended up sparking a hilarious clash between art and reality. It's a perfect example of how Seinfeld often turns small, spontaneous moments into comedy gold. Fact 8. George's whale monologue was written on a napkin. George Costanza, the master of neuroticism and elaborate lies, delivered one of his most memorable monologues in the Season 5 episode, The Marine Biologist. His calm, detailed recounting of how he saved a beached whale, pulling a golf ball out of its blowhole, is pure comedic gold. It's a moment that perfectly encapsulates George's ability to weave fantastical tales. But what if you're told that this entire brilliant monologue wasn't in the original script? It was a last-minute, desperate rewrite scrawled on a cafeteria napkin. The episode had a different ending planned, and during the table read, where the cast reads through the script for the first time, it simply bombed. It didn't land. The energy wasn't there. The writers and producers were in a bind, needing a strong finish. Larry David, ever the quick-thinking comedic genius, found himself in the cafeteria, likely under immense pressure. He grabbed a napkin, scribbled down a brand new ending, and handed it to Jason Alexander, who played George. The instruction? Learn this by lunch. Imagine the pressure on Jason Alexander. To receive a completely new, lengthy, and complex monologue just hours before filming, and then be expected to nail it. But Alexander, a true professional and an incredibly talented actor, did just that. He reportedly nailed it in one take, delivering George's improbable tale with the perfect blend of sincerity and absurdity. The studio audience, recognizing the brilliance of the moment, gave a standing ovation so long and enthusiastic that the production team actually had to trim it in post-production. That's how good it was. And the legendary napkin? It didn't end up in the trash. It's now framed in Jerry Seinfeld's personal office, a tangible piece of Seinfeld history nestled between a Superman comic and a box of cereal. It's a fantastic anecdote that highlights the improvisational spirit and the sheer comedic talent that fueled Seinfeld. It shows that sometimes the most brilliant moments aren't meticulously planned, but rather born out of necessity, creativity, and a humble napkin. Fact 9. The original female lead was a waitress named Claire. It's almost impossible to imagine Seinfeld without Elaine Beans, right? Julia Louis-Dreyfus's portrayal of the quirky, outspoken, and hilariously neurotic Elaine is central to the show's dynamic. But in the very first pilot episode, before Seinfeld was even called Seinfeld, it was originally titled The Seinfeld Chronicles. The main female character wasn't Elaine at all. It was a sarcastic waitress named Claire. Claire, played by actress Lee Garlington, served coffee and exposition, essentially acting as a sounding board for Jerry and George's observations and complaints. She'd pepper Jerry with questions like, "So why don't you like my risotto?" A stark contrast to Elaine's more active, involved role in the group's shenanigans. Claire was meant to be the female voice, but she never quite clicked with test audiences. There was something missing, a spark that just wasn't there. According to various accounts, there might have been some behind-the-scenes friction as well. Lee Garlington herself recalled, "When we shot the pilot, I was the girl in Seinfeld, but they didn't pick up my contract." Jason Alexander claimed it was partly because she reportedly rewrote her own dialogue on set, which, as we've seen with Larry David's strong creative control, was a big no-no. Jerry Seinfeld offered a more diplomatic reason, stating that they simply needed a character with a deeper, more personal connection to the group, someone who felt like a true peer rather than an outsider serving them coffee. Whatever the exact reason, Larry David, in his characteristic decisive fashion, axed the character. He then took an unnamed female friend character in the script, beefed her up, and promoted her to series regular. And just like that, television got its favorite quirky heroine, Elaine Beans. If you ever manage to hunt down the original pilot script, you'll find Claire's lines literally crossed out in red pen, with the damning label, "boring." It's a brutal, yet perfectly Seinfeld-esque epitaph for a character who almost was. It just goes to show how crucial casting and character development are to the alchemy of a successful sitcom, and how sometimes a last-minute change can lead to television gold. Fact 10. Susan died for the sake of comedy chemistry. The death of Susan Ross, George Costanza's long-suffering fiancée, is one of Seinfeld's darkest, most audacious, and surprisingly funniest moments. Killed off by toxic wedding invitation envelopes, her demise was shocking, unexpected, and utterly hilarious in its absurdity. But the reason behind this darkly comedic plot twist wasn't just for shock value. It was, surprisingly, for the sake of comedy chemistry. Heidi Swedberg, the actress who played Susan, was by all accounts a lovely person, very sweet and gracious off-camera. However, her acting style, particularly her comedic timing, reportedly clashed with the fast-paced, hyper-verbal, and often improvisational style of the main Seinfeld cast. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Elaine, Jason Alexander, George, and Jerry Seinfeld were known for their rapid-fire delivery, quick reactions, and almost musical rhythm in their dialogue. Swedberg, while talented, had a different rhythm, which sometimes made it challenging for the ensemble to find their groove. After multiple takes where the comedic timing just wasn't quite gelling, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, perhaps out of frustration or a moment of dark humor, jokingly said, "You know what would be funny? If we killed her." It was a throwaway comment, a gallows humor suggestion, but Larry David, who was known for taking casual remarks and turning them into brilliant plot points, heard it. And his reaction? A decisive "ka-bang," as Jason Alexander later recounted. It was all the confirmation he needed. The writers took the joke as gospel. They dreamed up the perfectly Seinfeldian, absurd, and darkly comedic method of her death, poisoned envelopes that Susan, ever the diligent one, licked to seal. It provided a shocking yet undeniably hilarious exit for the character, and controversially, freed George from a marriage he desperately wanted to escape. Heidi Swedberg, to her immense credit, took the news gracefully. She later famously said, "I gotta go out with the greatest licking scene in television history." It's a testament to her professionalism and good humor. While Susan's death was a controversial moment for many fans, it perfectly encapsulated Seinfeld's willingness to push boundaries, embrace dark comedy, and make bold choices, even if it meant sacrificing a character for the sake of the show's unique comedic rhythm. It solidified the show's reputation for being unapologetically irreverent and always funny, even when dealing with something as serious as death. We would love to hear from you. Which one of the 10 facts rattled you the most? Was it Kramer's secret century mark? Elaine's dad terrifying the cast? Or Jerry walking away from enough money to buy a small country? Drop your favorite weird revelation in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the show about nothing, and if you're enjoying this video, please don't disappoint Jerry and the gang. Do me a huge favor. Smash that like button, subscribe for more deep-cut TV trivia, and remember, these pretzels are making me thirsty. I hope to see you again real soon for more fascinating facts and behind-the-scenes secrets.